First and foremost, I want to give all honors and praises and glory belongs to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Waharakah Kodash. The name of the Heavenly Father is Yahawah, and his son's name is Yahawashi, who we reverence, and double honors to the elder apostle, great millstone that teaches truth, and those of you that are actually in the spirit, and to the hopeful elect across the globe, and to the very few brothers and sisters listening and also learning across the globe. This lesson is going to be based on seeking out of the book of Yahawashi, Yahawashi, because you know, when you came to the truth, there was something you believed in. There was some type of philosophy. If it wasn't the truth, it was some type of philosophy, whether it was Christianity, whether it was Buddhism, whether it was the black unconscious community, Egyptology. There was something that you were taken by. Alright, so we're going to start with Isaiah 34. You know, until I care about the noise, remember, prior to this lesson, what did we do a video upon? Prepare yourself for temptations. That's just Satan, but Lord willing, we're going to keep going. Isaiah 34 and 16. You can't let outside distractions throw you off. Isaiah 44 and 16. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord Yahawashi, Yahawashi. So seeking, that means you're looking, that means you're searching, that means you're inquiring. Out of the book of the Lord Yahawashi, and read. And what's the book of the Yahawashi? The Holy Scriptures, the King James Version. Which King James, he was not what people call, he's a cracker. He was not, you know, people that say that, they're not studied, they just go off by what they've heard, some rubbish that they've heard, and that's it. Okay, King James is actually what, the King of Scotland and England. Okay, that nominated 47 learned men, okay, to translate the Bible into what? The Hebrew, the Latin, and the Greek, and the English, because not everybody was speaking Hebrew. Not everybody understands Hebrew. That's why it's written in English. Alright, so seek ye out the book of the Lord and read. But remember what it tells you there in Revelations 1 and 4, it talks about, blessed is he that readeth. Okay? What does it mean, blessed is he that readeth? When you go into that word read, it means to comprehend, to understand. So you're going to have individuals that pick up the scriptures, but they still don't understand. Not one of these shall fail. So these prophecies are not going to fail. Nothing in these scriptures are going to fail. It's all going to come to pass because it's the word of the Lord. The Quran is not the word of the Lord. The Egyptian Book of the Dead is not the word of the Lord. Okay? It's fables. That's lies. None shall want to mate. You cannot mate the scriptures with anything else. The Holy Bible. Nothing else. There's no other book you can put to this and say, yes, this is a quick. No. There's no other book that deals with prophecy. For my mouth it have commanded, and his spirit it have gathered them. So now I want to jump straight to Babakashah. Let's go to Acts 17. I'm going to go to Acts 17, Babakashah. Because you just can't do that. Men coming to the truth, they want to merge. Because you may be zealous, you're learning new knowledge. But the knowledge of the black unconscious community, Egyptology, it's not knowledge, it's foolishness. You want to merge all the stuff you've seen from these different channels and whoever you've watched from the different. You can't merge that into the truth, because guess what? That's demons. You're going to bug yourself out, because it has no place in the truth. Let's go to Acts 17, and we're going to jump straight to. Let's jump straight to verse 17. Therefore disputed he in the synagogue. Who? Paul. Okay, the apostle Paul. With the Jews and with the devout persons. What were they devout to? Devout means dedicated to what? The worship of what? Idols. Okay, let's go. Alright. And in the market daily. Okay, so they were in the marketplaces. You can also equate that with the agora as well, which men are supposed to be out on the highways and byways, which men are not, they're still not taking heed to the words of Yahawashi. If you call yourself a prophet, you're supposed to be out on the highways and byways. Yes, there's people now that can walk. You can have 4, you can have groups of 4, groups of 5. So why are men are not going out into the highways? But that's another topic anyway. And with them that met with him, when certain philosophers, so you always had those that were philosophers, okay, those that would philosophize everything, okay, certain philosophers at the Epicureans. So if you're philosophizing, you're reasoning within your own mind. Of the Epicureans, and the Epicureans were those that were, they were not so disciplined, okay. They were practical, but they were practical in a fleshly way. They were given to pleasures. They tested themselves by what? Pleasure. Okay, pleasure seekers. Okay, and of the Stoics encountered him, and you also had the Stoics that were disciplinaries. Okay, if that's the right word to use. They were more disciplined, they were more controlled, and they were more studious. Okay, and the men of the Lord, they are Stoics. And some said, what will this babbler say? Okay, a babbler is what? A talker. Okay. So they're kind of dissing. Some, he seemed to be a setter forth of strange gods. So what did they mean when he says, when they said he seems to be a setter forth of strange gods? Huh? They were saying, is he bringing a new idol? Okay, a new god, because they believed in what? Several different gods, idols. Because he preached unto them Yahawashi and the resurrection. So what was Paul doing? Showing them, teaching them of Yahawashi. And they took him and brought him unto Areopagus, saying, may we know what this new doctrine, okay, whereof thou speakest is, for thou bringest certain strange things to our ears. Because they never heard nothing like this before. We would know, wherefore, what these things mean. Because they didn't have the understanding. For all the Athenians, and strangers, which were, and these Athenians were Israelites, okay, what, in the region of Athens, Greece, which were known as Hellenists, okay, which were following the customs of the Greeks. That's why they were known as Gentiles, and which were there spent their time in nothing else but either to tell some new story, because they dealt with what? Poems, stories, myths. That's why you call it Greek mythology, okay, or to hear some new thing. And most of them poets, you do know, most of the poets come from Greece. Most of the poets were our people, good storytellers, fables, that stem from Greece. Zeus, when you think of Zeus, you think Zeus was a so-called Edomite. Zeus was actually Greek, a dark skin. You actually look at the actual images of Zeus, a dark skinned man with braids. But that was still going off. That was all mythology. Alright? Which goes back what? To the planets. So they wanted to hear some new thing. They were always what? Talking about what? Different philosophies. Reasoning about different philosophies. Just like you have today on 33rd Street. With Polite, King Noble. All these different names. Okay? So what's it? Sur and Seti. These are the same individuals back then that were in that Hellenistic mind. Then verse 22, then Paul stood in the midst of Mars Hill. And you want to know where Mars Hill? It was in Athens. There's another Greek word for it, Babakasha. Spare me just a minute. Oh, the volume ain't working on this. Spare me just a minute. What's going on here? Alright, the volume ain't working. It was oh, here it is.
697. Arias
Pagas. Okay. Marshall Peak, which was what? A hilly region in the city of Athens. Okay. Opposite the western end of Acropolis towards the west. Okay. That was known as Mars Hill. And said, ye men of Athens, I perceive that in all things you are too superstitious. Now we're going to look up that word superstitious and see what it goes into. Superstitious, involving a faith in supernatural powers or magic. Yeah, they believed in the supernatural, but it was on the left hand side. Demons. Okay? Because you could believe in the supernatural, the spirit world, life after death. But the Egyptians believed that. Okay? But they were burying what? Their gold with them. They thought they could take all these things. They couldn't take all these things with them. characteristic of a pagan religion, false religion, from the Latin, let's get it in Latin, superstitiosus, full of dread of the supernatural. Okay, from superstitio, soothsaying, that's where you get the whole soothsaying rubbish. Okay, worshipping the stars and all these planets. Excessive fear of the gods. Okay, so that's what they believed in. And that's where you got the whole, the moon worship, Saturn worship, Jupiter worship, Mars, which Mars is what? A planet. So these people were heavily into the worship of what? Creation, rather than the creator, which it mentioned that in Romans somewhere. This is what was happening. It's the same thing again today, which all ties in what? To idolism. So let's go. Baby, just a minute. So now we're going to go straight to the carry on. For I passed by and beheld your devotions, the idols, which are they're devoted to. I found an altar with this inscription: to the unknown power, whom therefore you ignorantly worship, and him declare I unto you. So they were also putting up a banner, the unknown power, which they never known of, which was Yahawashi, which they ignorantly worship. Him I declare unto you. See, Paul was sent there to declare Yahawashi unto them. Okay? The Most High that made the world and all the things, so like the powers that made the world and all the things therein, seeing that he is Lord over heaven, Yahawashi, and earth, dwelleth not in temples made with hands. So he's letting them know. The temple that you're worshipping in, it doesn't mean anything. Okay? Because the temple is the body. Okay? Neither is worship with men's hands, as though he needed anything, seeing he giveth life to all life, and breathe breath in all things. Because what were they doing as well? They were dedicating what? Bits of meat, bread, to an altar, and it would just stay there. It's not like the idol could eat it. And Elam and all these other religions, they do the same thing, but it's on the left hand side. And have made one blood and nations of men for to dwell on the face of the earth, and have determined the times before appointed and the bounds of their habitation. Now let's jump Babakashah. Now I want to jump straight to get this in the right order. 1 Timothy 1 and 4. Okay, so it says, neither give heed to fables. Bear me just a minute. Doing a lot of jumping about. Quickly get that up. Neither give heed to fables. Okay, and you got all these same fables are back here today. Father Christmas is going to come out of a chimney and give you presents. You know, all these fables. Alright, the tooth fairy, that's a fable. Mermaids, that's a fable. The earth is flat, that's a fable. Neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies, which minister questions rather than godly edifying, which is in the faith. So do. So the things that matter is the things that are going to minister what? Godly edifying, which is in faith, because the other things are just going to bring forth what? Questions and strife. Okay, so now we're going to go to Acts 19, Babakashah and 19, because there's a lot. Let's go to Acts 19 and 19. Let's start at 19 years. Many of them also which use curious arts. Super curious goes into being superstitious. Okay, arts. And what's the arts? Arts is a what? A craft. Okay, arts is what? Craft. So they use curious arts, which is what? Witchcraft. Brought their books together and burned them. So they burnt them. Okay, for the sake of the truth before all men. Okay, and they counted the price of them, and it found it 50,000 pieces of silver. That's a lot of money. 50,000 pieces of silver. So mightily grew the word of the Most High and prevailed. So this word was spreading. Paul was converting those what in Ephesus. Alright, and after these things were ended, Paul purposed in the spirit when he had passed through Macedonia and Achaia, if I'm saying it right, to go to Jerusalem, saying, after I have been there, I must also see Rome. Alright, so he sent into Macedonia 2 of them that ministered unto him. So he sent men out to him, to do that ministering. Timotheus and Aristus, but he himself stayed in Asia for a season, for a particular time, and at the same time there arose no small stir about that way. For a certain man named Demetrius, a silversmith, okay, that obviously that gives it away, that works with silver, works on silver, okay, which made silver shrines to what? For the temples, for Diana. Let's go. Okay, and here's Diana right here, okay, which is what? What's Diana? Woman worship, which today it goes by different names. Ceramicis, Tammuz, what else? With Statue of Liberty. It all goes under different names. It just got different names today. Brought no small gain unto the craftsman. So a lot of money was made out of him what? Being a silversmith, whom he called together with the workmen of like occupation, and said, Sirs, you know what? That by this craft we have our wealth. So this was damaging the pockets of those that what? Were building what? These shrines. Moreover, you see in here that not alone at Ephesus, but also throughout all Asia, this Paul had persuaded and turned away much people, saying that they be no gods. So this upset them, because now they couldn't make money, which are made with hands, so that not only this our craft is in danger, our work, their livelihood, to be set at naught, okay, going bankrupt, but also that the temple of the great goddess Diana, okay, should be despised, and her magnificence should be destroyed. But she wasn't magnificent. It was just what? A part of elements put together to be worshipped, which you're not supposed to do, and whom Asia and the world worship. So it was not just in Asia, the world was what? Worshipping these idols. And when they heard these sayings, they were full of wrath, anger, and cried out, saying, Great is Diana of Ephesians. And the whole city was filled with confusion. And having caught Gaius and Aristarchus, men of Macedonia, Paul's companions in trouble, they rushed with one accord into the theatre. And when Paul would have entered in unto the people, the disciples suffered him not. They were preventing him. And certain of the chief of Asia, which were his friends, sent unto him, desiring him that he would not adventure himself into the theatre, because it could have got to the point where he could have been killed. Some therefore cried one thing and some of another, for the assembly was confused. So you had some that were for Paul, and some that weren't. They were for Diana. And the more part knew whereof they were come together, and they drew Alexander out of the multitudes, the Jews putting him forward, and Alexander beckoned with the hand, would have made his defense unto the people. But when they knew that he was a Jew, all with one voice about the space of 2 hours cried out, Great is Diana of the Ephesians. So they had mass dedication. There was a stir, there was rioting breaking out. And when the town clerk had appeased the people, he said, Ye men of Ephesus, what man is there that knoweth not how the city of Ephesians, okay, wait me just a minute. The city of Ephesians is a worshipper of the great goddess Diana, and of the image which fell down from Jupiter, which is a planet. See, they were worshipping planets. They actually believed in this. This was fables. In other words, they were bugged out. Seeing then that these things cannot be spoken against, you ought to be quiet and do nothing rashly. So he was in defense of Paul. For ye have brought hither these men which are neither robbers of churches nor yet blasphemers of your goddess. Okay, so he's backing them up. Wherefore, if Demetrius and the craftsmen which are with him have matter against any man, the law is open, and there are deputies to deal with that particular matter. Let them implead one another. But if you inquire of anything concerning other matters, it shall be determined in a lawful assembly. In other words, deal with it the right way. For we are in danger to be called in question for this day's uproar. There be no cause whereby we may give an account of this concourse. And when he had thus spoken, he dismissed the assembly. Then from then, what? Paul went on his way. So what does this show you? Our people have always worship these idols. This is nothing new. Okay, and I hope this gives you a better understanding of what was and what's still going on daily. And really, an idol is anything you really put before Yahawashi. Okay, it could be something you bow down to, and it could be something you put more dedication into. We're going to shut up on this Psalms 96. Psalms 96 and 4. For the Lord Yahawashi is great and greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods, idols, false gods. For all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord Yahawashi madeth the heavens. Okay, so with this lesson, I hope this was edifying. And until the next time, shalom to the hopeful elect. Shalom.